Welcome back, Truth Seeker. In 2 weeks, it'll be the second day of Tisha B'Av, August 11th, 2019. Since I put out this information last year, September of 2018, about why to remember this date, a lot has already happened. And if you go back and watch the content I put out last year, I said circle the date August 11th, 2019. And I said, watch how the major stories unfold between now and then, because I bet you anything, a lot of them are going to be perfectly in sync with August 11th, 2019. And there's two stories that everyone probably remembers this year that have proved my point. One was the Christchurch, New Zealand shooting, and the other was the burning of two religious sites on the same day, Notre Dame and al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. And the site we've really been watching for August 11th, 2019 is the site of al-Aqsa Mosque. So again, we're going to go through a lot here, but just real quick, if you only have 2 minutes, the reason August 11th, 2019 is important is because of what was foreshadowed last year, just after the anniversary of September 11th, in multiple mainstream outlets. They were talking about the coming prophecy of the third temple, which is a prophecy connected to the destruction of the first two temples, Solomon's and Herod's. And there's a Jewish holy day to remember the destruction of these temples. It's known as Tisha B'Av. And every year it's on a different date because the Jewish calendar is in sync with the moon. This year, 2019, it falls on August 10th and 11th. And last year on Tisha B'Av, there were tragedies in the news. You had the Los Angeles shooting, July 20th. You had the Greektown shooting in Toronto, July 21st. If you look up what dates Tisha B'Av and you go back through the headlines over the years, you're going to see how frequently there's tragedies in the news on this day. And what Tisha B'Av is to remember are tragedies going beyond just the destruction of the two temples. You know, they say World War I's connected to Tisha B'Av, the Holocaust, and many other things. So not only does Tisha B'Av fall on those days this year, but on the Islamic calendar, the days of sacrifice fall. And it's also during the time of the Hajj, which is the Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca. And of course, the New World Order tyrants, what they've been busy doing for all of our lifetimes is getting the people of the world to divide and hate each other, especially over religion. And if you go back and watch what I said, September of 2018, I said, just watch. 2019, special year. 19 is the number of chaos. The agenda is order out of chaos. That's why they said there were 19 hijackers on 9/11. And I said, this year, just watch. They're going to do something big to further divide the people of the world. Islam will definitely be targeted. And with that in mind, think about what happened in Christchurch, New Zealand. 2 mosques were targeted. 2 mosques, like 2 temples. And in a little bit, we'll look at the address of both mosques. The addresses, I should say. And we're going to see how they were in the 8011 area code for Christchurch. 8011, 811, August 11th. Plus a whole lot more. We're going to look at how the second mosque that was shot up on at the address 223. August 11th is the 223rd day of the year. Stuff's not an accident. We're also going to look at the burning of al-Aqsa Mosque in Notre Dame on the same day, April 15th, which was exactly 118 days before August 11th. And Notre Dame and al-Aqsa Mosque, 2 religious sites, like Tisha B'Av for 2 temples. And the historical relationship with those 2 structures, Notre Dame and al-Aqsa Mosque, is related to Masonry, connecting through the Knights Templar. The leader of the Knights Templar was burned at the stake in front of Notre Dame, which began the superstition of Friday the 13th, which is why you had your Friday the 13th shooting in Paris some years back. Big Masonic ritual. The other thing about the Knights Templar is during the Crusades, they captured al-Aqsa Mosque and they referred to it as Solomon's Temple. They referred to it as Solomon's Temple, which was destroyed and is now remembered in Tisha B'Av. See how this goes? So already, the points I said about August 11th this year have been proven 1,000,000% true. What remains to be seen is if anything major, more than out of the ordinary, if there's just a mass shooting on that weekend, I mean, those would become background noise. You're going to see if something major, something in the realm of 9/11. They might never need to do anything as big as 9/11 again. They pretty much have already established their new world order agenda. Everyone's willing to give up their rights. No one's willing to question the lies, the tyranny, the wars, the illegal invasions. They might not need to do any more, but they still have to maintain the programming and remind people. Because again, the world is a bunch of, people who suffer from amnesia. They can't remember anything past last Monday. Like I always call this nation the United States of Amnesia. You guys already forgot what is it? I already forgot it. What do they call that thing? The Gilbert Garlic Festival shooting? I mean, who's going to remember that tomorrow? But anyway. You know what else is weird? Food festival equals the same thing as Tisha B'Av. It's just 2 weeks away. It's just outside of San Francisco, one of the cities we're keeping an eye on, just because the Golden Gate's there. And the Golden Gate's part of the prophecy of Tisha B'Av, but it's the Golden Gate in Jerusalem. Anyway. Just some key points. Again, August 11, 2019 is the second day of Tisha B'Av. It begins August 10th, which will be another date to watch. Just August 11th, the little bit more interesting date. Again, when they first began coding this story last September, just after September 11th, they were coding 118 in the story, which made me think, 118, Third Temple. Let me see what day Tisha B'Av is. This is exactly what happened in real time. I was like, I wonder what day Tisha B'Av falls on. And then I saw it was August 11th. I said, you got to be kidding me. This is where they're going with this one. So anyway, it's the second day of Tisha B'Av. It's the Islamic day of sacrifice. It's the time of the Hajj. It'll be 58 days after Donald Trump's birthday, and that matters for all of these reasons. First of all, Solomon's Temple equals 58 in Gematria. Third Temple equals 58. Herod's Temple equals 58. They're all 58. Same with Jerusalem, where they want to build the thing. Donald Trump's the winner of the 58th U.S. presidential election, winner with an asterisk. He's the beneficiary of the rigged selection. He announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower. He hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day. From his birthday to August 11th is 58 days later. And keep in mind, his sworn enemy, Barack Obama, is going to turn 58 years old August 4th, 7 days before. And I'm going to show you a headline from August 11th, 2016, when Trump came out and called Obama a terrorist. Obama, Osama. Would you believe that al-Qaeda was established in history August 11th, 1988? Because it was. Because it was. On that day, before Trump was president, he called Obama a terrorist on that day. Which is also funny because that day leaves 142 days left in the year. Barack Obama equals 142. It might be President Obama. It's one of the two. Going off the top of my head. Terrorist is also 142. They said the 9/11 attack lasted an hour and 42 minutes. So anyway, that's part of the August 11th thing. Even better, Benjamin Netanyahu, who won the Battle of the Benjamins in his rigged election in April. From August 11th to his birthday this year is 71 days. And why is that funny? Israel's 71 years old. Temple equals 71 in Gematria. Again, the whole agenda is to build this third temple. And oh, by the way, Donald Trump, his head's on a shekel right now that's on sale in Israel to raise money to build the third temple. If you don't know that, look it up. All you Q fanatics who think Trump's fighting the New World Order. Yeah, isn't the evidence his head being on a shekel to build the third temple, which couldn't be any more New World Order, just like Israel couldn't be any more New World Order? I think the most mind-controlled people in the world at this moment in time are the people who think Trump is the savior. I don't think you can find anybody under a greater spell right now than this group. Maybe the greatest group under mind control of any time in the history of humanity. And that's saying something, because there's a lot of people under mind control. But again, it's 71 days from Netanyahu's birthday. Temple 71, Talmud 71, Israel 71 years old. Go look up how many days the dancing Israelis on September 11th spent in jail. It'll give you a laugh. If you guess 71, you're right on the money. By the way, Mossad equals 71. Let's not forget that either. Mossad 71, another good one. August 11th is the 223rd day of the year. The synagogue of Satan equals 223. So does Masonic. Again, it's the day leaving 142 days. Terrorist 142. The name George Herbert Walker Bush equals 118. George Herbert Walker Bush equals 118. Not far from August 11th. From the day he died to August 11th is 254 days later. And why does that matter? Why 254? Because September 11th is the 254th day of the year. And once upon a time, he gave a speech about the New World Order, a world freer of terrorism, back when he was the president, before his son, the other skull and bonesman, was the president when 9/11 happened. And, we're talking about New World Order. 254 is a number that's symbolic of time. Again, he has the 118 name. And if you missed my video on Bush, you should watch it before they delete it. I did say last August that George Herbert Walker Bush would not make it past November of 2018. And he ended up dying on November 30th, the last day, 11 plus 30, 41, like how he was number 41, like how skull and bones equals 41. When you write out 41, it even sums to 118. Same day Paul Walker died, who starred in the movie The Skulls. Anyway, Paul Walker, George Herbert Walker, George Walker. Remember Paul Walker's death? I know this is amnesia land. But anyway, those are just some things. Also, what's strange is the PGA moved the PGA Championship from August 11th to May. They've never done that before. Why did they do that? Why did they move the PGA Championship, the biggest golf event of the year? It's like moving the Super Bowl from February to, I don't know, August. Why? Why'd they do that? By the way, that was in New York. People in New York. It was supposed to be in New York. But here, we got a lot to go through, so let's just run back through some of this. I'm going to try to do it faster than I have in the past. Otherwise, we'll be here till tomorrow. So these headlines were all circulating on September 11th, the 17-year anniversary of 9/11. Sacred rare red cow born in Israel. End of the world fears. First red heifer born in Israel in 2,000 years fulfills prophecy. And this prophecy is about the third temple coming and the Jewish Messiah arriving, which is supposed to bring about, revelation, cataclysm. Birth of red heifer in Israel. Okay, you get the point. Biblical prophecy, fulfillment claims. So I noticed in the Jewish format, red heifer equaled 202, and that got me thinking, 202, that's funny because Tisha B'Av last year when this news broke was on July 21st. That was the day of the Toronto Greektown shooting, which is the 202nd day of the year. So I said, okay, so this story is connected to the prophecy of the third temple. They're coding red heifer, which connects to the date Tisha B'Av fell on. Tisha B'Av, also in the English extended cipher, happens to sum to 721, which is interesting because last year Tisha B'Av, the second day, was on 721, July 21st, the 202nd day of the year. So here was the dates last year. Oh, I said it was the second day. I take it back. It was actually the first day. I apologize. That was actually the day of the Los Angeles shooting. The Toronto shooting, Greektown, was July 22nd. So that would have been the 203rd day of the year. But you got shootings on both days. There's that other cipher, Tisha B'Av 721. 202nd day of the year. And just real quick, with regards to these stories circulating on September 11th in the Jewish Gematria, Tisha B'Av equals 9/11. And think about how the two towers came crashing down on 9/11. The two towers, Tisha B'Av, to remember the two temples. Now, September 11th, 2001 was not the day of Tisha B'Av. That year, Tisha B'Av came 44 days before September 11th. And 44 is a number associated with military, destruction, death, killing. And that's absolutely what that day was. A military act, a killing for more military intervention, and it was perfectly synced up with Tisha B'Av. So that's why I've been saying throughout the year, if nothing happens on August 11th, you're still going to see events throughout the year synced up with the date, just like how you saw the Mosque shooting in New Zealand, which was a really big deal. You know, most people in America where I am don't care unless it happens here, but that was a really big deal what happened. They changed all their gun rights in the blink of an eye over this contrived incident, this government-sponsored incident. And they infringed on all sorts of liberties. Not only did they say gun rights, but they said, man, if you have all that video footage on your computer, we will put you in prison and fine you. I mean, what is that? They made sure that video went viral and circulated all over the world and everybody heard about it in 24 hours. Then for the people who collected the video and scratched their head and said, things don't look right about this video, they said, if you keep that on your computer, you will be imprisoned and fined. I mean, this is a big deal. And don't think, you know, because it happened in New Zealand and not here, well, we're America, that would never happen here. Wrong. It's already happening here. You know, what's going on here? We're not too far removed. So anyway, just like I said, September 2018, the major news stories will be synced with August 11th. They will pay tribute to that day. And also think about how that New Zealand Christchurch shooting was on the Ides of March, which is to remember the assassination of Julius Caesar, Augustus, like how the month August is to honor him. August, the month we're looking at. Again, the Christchurch mosques were in the 8011 area code, not far off from 811, the date of August 11th. And we're going to look at how the shooter's name was all encoded with the numbers of Tisha B'Av and plus a whole bunch of other things. But again, if August 11th comes and there's not that much, just remember the year's not over, you know, and there will be more noise before the end of the year, and it will be perfectly synced with that date if it's not on that date itself. Just like how 9/11 wasn't on Tisha B'Av, but it was definitely a tribute to Tisha B'Av, and it was definitely synced. Now, these other headlines up here, you know, about all this red heifer stuff, the end is near, born in Israel, all this stuff emphasized. Look at this. The end is near, 202. End of the world, 202. Born in Israel in well, even if it was 2,000 years, I did a typo there. It would add a 0, which would make no difference. Years fulfills prophecy, 202. See how they were coding that so heavy, paying tribute to Tisha B'Av that year? See how they did it? And you know what? I just thought about something. These headlines were on September 11th. July 21st leaves 163 days left in the year. September 11th leaves 111 days left in the year, which means it's 52 days later, and prophecy equals 52. And that was the word, right? In the headlines, prophecy. And that's what we're living out, this contrived prophecy. So here's Tisha B'Av this year. August 11th, the 223rd day of the year, leaving 142 remaining. The Synagogue of Satan, 223, who they are proud to be. Masonic, 223. 223 is the 48th prime. This hubbub was all about this red heifer that, from what I understand, was born in a science laboratory. It's not even like organically born. Talk about contriving prophecy. But red heifer, 48, like Freemason. Death and homicide equal 118 in Jewish Gematria. That's another reason the date August 11th is always significant. No. That day will not pass without coincidence. Without coincidence. Well, that's how the masses will look at it. So let me see. I'm going to scan through some of this stuff because I already have longer videos on it. They emphasize that word sacred in the headline up above. Let's just hit this point real quick. Sacred. See how they emphasize it? Sacred's 112, like Zionist, like Donald, like mathematics. And don't ever forget, November 2nd, 1917, that's the day the Balfour Declaration was drafted to create the Zionist nation of Israel before World War II and the Holocaust even happened. And in our history books, they tell us Israel was because of the Holocaust, which is just so false. It's just so blatantly false. It's just so not true. Notice how No Less News doesn't cover any of this. He's one of them. Anyway. Third Temple, Solomon's Temple, Herod's Temple, Jerusalem. August 11th, 2019 will be a date with 58 numerology, 58 days after Trump's birthday again, who has his face on the coin to raise funds to build the third temple. The Quran code centered on the number 19. Again, that's another big part of this. Remember how at Mecca at the beginning of the year, it was bombarded with locusts? Locusts equals 19. They said that had never happened in history before. The Quran code's all centered on the number 19. Here we are in 2019. So anyway, I'm just going to quickly scan. Here is Donald Trump at the side of the Western Wall on May 22nd, 2017. That's the 142nd day of the year, leaving 223 days left in the year. The reflection date of August 11th. August 11th is the 223rd day, leaving 142 days. And from May 22nd, 2017 to August 11th, 2019 is 811 days later. And he's at the site where they want to build the third temple. And again, he's the man whose head is on the coin to raise funds to build the third temple. There's a part of me that wants to buy one of those coins because I just want to have it so that I can tell, the amnesiacs in decades about what really went down. But at the same time, it's like, I do not want to give any money to this cause. You know what I mean? The ultimate conflict. I need to find the bank where these things are at. Come in masks if you know what I mean. Okay, so there's that Trump Tower, 58 stories. Sometimes I wonder why it's 2 feet shy of 666. But sometimes I think I know the answer too. See how it's 664 feet tall? 2 feet shy of that magic number, right? New York equals 666, number of the beast. Beast equals 47 like Trump. If you write out 2 as a word, it equals 58. Just like how it's 58 stories. Could be why it's 2 feet shy too. Okay, there's all sorts of extra stuff here to know, but they first reported that the red heifer was born on September 4th. That's the day leaving 118 days left in the year. And I've noticed that several outlets since that was first reported have now changed the date that it was born. But when it was circulating at the time I reported it, the birth date was September 4th. Notice that has the connection to 74, like Lucifer, like Jewish, like Messiah, like occult, like Masonic, like English, like Gematria, etc., etc. Red cow, the other way it's referred to. Red cow, 94, born on September 4th. Here's the New York Post right here. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. Who sang that song? I forget. An all-red heifer was born at the Temple of Israel on September 4th. Was it REM? I can't think. Fulfilling a biblical prophecy. And realize September 4th can also be written /9 like 49. Revelations 49. What did I say when Donald Trump was running for president? I was saying, pay attention. He's number 45. It's the Trump-Pence ticket. Like the warning signs in Revelation, the trumpets. And what is it about 45 and this code? What is it? It's this right here. Holy Bible, 45, 45. Miraculous catch of 153 fish. Because that's the 17th triangular number, and God equals 17. Okay. So, that's how it all started. And we started to look at some other things like some predictive programming. Once I did that video, people just started to feed me with information they knew about. That's what's nice about sharing the work. So The Simpsons, who are known for their predictive programming. On April 27, 2008, which was a leap year, which was the 118th day of the year, They did an episode called Apocalypse Cow. What are the odds? What are the odds? What are the odds? Seriously. And Temple Mount equals 154, like Apocalypse Cow. That's the whole agenda. Just like there's the TV show out there, Dig, where the Zionists want to blow up, Temple Mount so they can build the third temple there. By the way, the writer of The Simpsons, Matthew Abraham Groening, 223, like August 11th, the 223rd day of the year. The Simpsons, they had the right correction with Trump. By the way, they have a prediction for Ivanka, too, that she'll run in 2028. That's the year she'll turn 47 years old. Trump's 47, Ivanka. Trump's 47, president's 47, White House, government, authority, blah, blah, blah. They're all 47. Look how Ivanka Trump and Lisa Simpson are the exact same in all four base ciphers. She becomes president in The Simpsons. So that's one. And, South Park. He's got some small hat writers. They got an episode on this too called Ginger Cow, right? And notice Ginger Cow equals 142. August 11th, the day leaving 142 days left in the year. Is it possible that these two cartoons and these two writers... And here's the other big kicker. You notice how that's the 243rd episode of South Park? How old is the United States of America right now? It's 243 years old. Central Intelligence Agency equals 243. Who runs the CIA? Who runs this nation? There's even more. The TV show Dig. Let me see. Do I have it here? What did I do with it? We are going to be here all night. So Dig is about a Zionist conspiracy to blow up the Temple Mount to build the third temple. It debuted March 5th, 2015, and it ended May 7th, 2015. March 5th, the 64th day of the year. Israel's 64, so is Zion, so is Thelema, so is Do What Thou Wilt. The episode lasted, or the distance in episodes, it ended 63 days later, or a span of 64 days. 63 is Rabbinic Judaism. That's the Jews that go by the Talmud. May 7th. Well, first of all, March 5th can be written 5/3, the day the show began. Religion's 53, Temple Mount's 53. I guess somehow I forgot to write. Sometimes when I make my posts, I forget to post important stuff. Like Tisha B'Av is 53 too. And that's when the episode began. March 5th, a date that can be written 5/3. Dig. About, again, bringing about the third temple. Tisha B'Av. May 7th, when it ended, can be written 5/7, like 57. Jews 57. It can also be written 7/5, like 75. Remember, New World Order equals 75. Remember the New York Times headline? October 6, 1940, a date was 75 numerology, New World Order pledged to Jews. The show's called Dig. Temple equals 71. 71's the 20th prime number, so that's how Dig and Temple go together. And also, what's the number you call when you have to dig? Do you guys know what that number is? Look it up if you don't know. You might find that the number is 811. It sure is. You dial 811 before you dig on your property so you don't hit a power line or a gas line. 811. That's the number you call. Is it possible that that was a foreshadowing? Tell me if you think this is a coincidence. 1968, 911 made the national emergency dialing code and World Trade Center construction began. 33 years before 2001, those same two things. George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones that year, 1968. 2001, A Space Odyssey came out. The New York Jets, their only winning season where they ended up winning the Super Bowl. Jets, New York, World Trade Centers, 911. How's it all come together? Drew Bledsoe, number 11, Tom Brady, Mo Lewis. You call 811 when you're going to dig. Think about it. The Temple Mount to the Muslims is known as Haram Esh-Sharif 71. Just like Temple 71. Just like how August 11th, 71 days from Netanyahu's birthday. Old Benji. From March 5th, 2015 to August 11th, 2019 is 1,620 days or 231 weeks. It's the 231 that stands out to me because that's the 21st triangular number. And Bible's 21. And again, all this is biblical prophecy. For all you UFC fans out there, the UFC rigged fight this past weekend, 240, that Holloway who got his 21st career win, he last fought in UFC 231, or he got his last win there. And then from UFC 231 to his 21st career win was exactly 231 days later. Isn't that funny? And then he won on a date with 73 numerology, the 21st prime. And who runs the UFC? A hardcore Zionist. I'm just saying. Rahm Emanuel's brother. Proud Zionist. So from the end of the show to that date's 222 days. Order out of chaos is 222. As above, so below. Masonic rituals. Okay, I'm just going to skip that part for now. We've already made enough good ones. Let's see. So let's see here. So this is the Festival of Sacrifice for the Muslims. It's August 10th and August 11th, the way it falls this year, the same day as Tisha B'Av. And sacrifice is 46, like Temple Mount, like chaos, like Quran code. Remember, the Quran code is centered on the number 19. And do you know what year the Quran code was discovered, supposedly? 1968. The same year the whole plan went into motion for 9/11. And don't forget, this whole story was circulating about, this coming apocalypse on September 11th. It's also known as the Festival of Sacrifice, which equals 118. Like August 11th. Festival of Sacrifice, also 89, like chaos, like religion. That's what it's about, dividing the people of the world amongst the religions. There's a name for al-Aqsa Mosque, an alternate name. I know that I forgot to add this to the presentation. I'd have to go back and check, but if you do some research on al-Aqsa Mosque, there's another name for it that also sums to 118. And remember, it burned 118 days before August 11th this year, the same day Notre Dame burned, as we covered earlier. Okay, so let's now go back and look at the Christchurch shooting, which has been the most important single event. Well, that and the Notre Dame thing, but both of these events, I guess you could say, are both really important in light of them being synced up with August 11th and related. Again, Tisha B'Av's about the destruction of the two temples. You got the two mosque shootings in Christchurch. You got the two religious structures to burn. Notre Dame and al-Aqsa Mosque, and both events perfectly sync with this date. So the mosque shootings. The second mosque shot was the Linwood Mosque, which was at the address 223, like how August 11th is the 223rd day of the year. And the first mosque shot was at 101 Deans Avenue, which is hilarious because that's the number coded all over Ides of March. And by the way, you can go back and watch my videos from last October 2018, when the mega bomber thing was going on in the US. I showed how that was a ritual. Shout out to Dan Behrendt. He was the guy who first connected that dot. Showed how it was a ritual with the Ides of March. And I said, remember the Ides of March when it rolls around, because we might get the next connected story to this, the next big government scare. And sure enough, we did. It ended up being in New Zealand under the, the nation that has the leader who has the Scottish Rite Freemason father. Go figure. Some people are saying she's a tranny. I don't know about all that, but maybe. And then right after the day after this shooting, what was hilarious is the mega bomber was in the news apologizing for what he did last October. Just the way they bring all the news stories together. But here it is. Again, that first shooting at 101 Deans Avenue, Rickerton's 101, Ides and Marches 101, Christians 101, Christchurch, mosque shootings, dividing the people of the world amongst religion. Notice how Rickerton and Christian go together perfectly. All four ciphers. And notice Rickerton's also 142, like how August 11th leaves 142 days left in the year. The attack came on the 74th day of the year, same day my book got banned. No. Masonic 74 and 223. The second mosque was in Phillipstown, which equals 61, like Ides of March, like Christian, like active shooter. Christchurch on the 43rd parallel, Jesus Christ 43 and 74. Let's go through more. I got a whole bunch of stuff for this one. I'll get you their full addresses so you can see the 8011 at the end too. But hold on, let's just go through this piece by piece. The shooter's name was put out as Brenton Harris Tarrant. 134 like Tisha B'Av, like 9th of Av, which is the English way to say Tisha B'Av. It's the same thing. The day to remember the destruction of the temples, the 2 temples, the 2 mosques, the 2 towers. 9th of Av also sums to 109, like beware the Ides of March, the motto for that day. The last shooting in New Zealand prior to this was known as the Aramona Massacre, which is also 109. Keep in mind, military is 109. And again, that's what these are. These are military operations. Go watch those Manchurian Candidate movies, giving you big clues to what they do to some of these officers, who then they use in their, contrived propaganda to make the people of the world hate each other. From March 15, 2019 to August 11, 2019 is 149 days. Number of Skull and Bones, who identifies by 322, the reflection of 223. Skull and Bones, who has a lot of influence in this world. Skull and Bones, who have their fingerprints all over September 11th. Skull and Bones is also 202, like what they were coding all over the headlines to start with this propaganda. Okay. You remember how the gunman in the video said subscribe to PewDiePie, the New Zealand shooting that was getting a lot of attention? What was so weird about that is PewDiePie was born on a date with 142 numerology, and from his last birthday to the date of the shooting was 142 days, and terrorist is 142. And from his birthday, from the date of the shooting to his upcoming birthday was 223 days, just like how August 11th, the 223rd day, leaving 142 days remaining. Both mosques were in this 8011 area code, like how August 11th is 811. Also weird is that from PewDiePie's birthday to August 11th is a distance of 74 days, just like how the Christchurch shooting was on the 74th day of the year. How can it be? And again, they went after, internet and censorship. So PewDiePie's this person who's watched by millions of people somehow. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't find him the least bit funny, but it is a society of morons. So anyway, the point was they had to make this buzz so that these tens of millions of people got more interested in this story, and then also became more aware of everything that was done with it, including the censorship. Pretty sure that's why they did that. Plus, he had the numbers to connect the ritual. The shooting was on a date with 37 numerology. If you just watch the videos I did on the Brooklyn shooting and the Gilroy Garlic shooting, both of them are connected through the number 37. The Al-Noor Mosque, which was shot up, notice how it perfectly overlaps with Scottish Rite. Again, March 15th, the 74th day of the year, active shooter 74, 74 coded all over the Brooklyn shooting and the Gilroy Garlic Food Festival shooting. It's always the same numbers. And again, Christchurch, Jesus Christ, 74, Jesus, Messiah, Cross, Gospel, Parables, all 74, Muhammad, 74, mosque shootings in Christchurch, again, dividing people. Just like I said, what would be the agenda? They said it was a white supremacist, another 74. And here was the ultimate kicker. New Zealand's Masonic Grand Launch, from its establishment date to the shooting was a distance of 47 days. Of course, 47 degrees on the Masonic compass, contribute to the 47th problem of Euclid. Government authority, policeman, cop, all 47. So Mike Bush, the spokesperson there, New Zealand Police Commissioner Mike Bush, said in a Facebook video, Mike Bush 47, Caesar 47. So also there was, do you recall the Christmas related shootings in Brazil at the church and at France at the Christmas market from last year, 2018? Those were both on December 11th. From that day to March 15th, you know, again, trying to incite people over religion, 94 days. And don't ask me to talk about those mosque shootings, or not mosque, I mean synagogue shootings, because I already have, and my videos have been taken down, and I've been put in timeout a couple times. You can't talk about the chosen ones. You know what I mean? Oh, whoops, I almost just got into it again. We're just going to have to cut that section off right there. But, you know, from that Pittsburgh incident, Tree of Life, Kabbalah thing, you know, from that to March 15th was 139 days. Julius Caesar, 139. Freemasonry, 139. So, let's see. They first came out and also said that the shooter had a 74-page dossier or manifesto. They later increased it to 87 pages. Muslim equals 87. But at first they had to come out and say 74-page on the 74th day of the year. You understand why? And then they changed it to 87 again because Muslims 87. Oh, yeah, and then don't forget that head of New Zealand Mosque criticized for blaming Christchurch massacre on Mossad. Mossad, 37. Date of the shooting, 37. Israel's 37 as well. And the man who was criticized, look at his name, 74, like the shooting on the 74th day of the year. 47, like how it was 47 days from the anniversary of the Masonic, you know, lodge there in town. Again, Caesar's 47. By the way, stabbing and killing 74. Ides of March, just to remember the stabbing / killing of Caesar. 223, like August 11th, the 223rd day of the year. And 61's like Ides of March, an active shooter. So what a perfect name for this guy who come out and said this, Mossad. And then they even bring up the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting. Now, I have a whole lot of work on the Notre Dame and al-Aqsa mosque fires. But again, the only point I want to emphasize is, once again, these two religious sites burned 118 days before August 11th, the day to remember the destruction of two religious sites. And again, what connects al-Aqsa Mosque and Notre Dame is the Knights Templar, who were the Masons before the Masons. Again, their leader was burned at the stake in front of Notre Dame, and during the Crusades, they captured al-Aqsa Mosque and referred to it as Solomon's Temple, which is what was destroyed the first time on the first, you know, day that Tisha B'Av is remembered. So April 15th to August 11th, 118 days later. By the way, April 15th, 2019 was a date with 58 numerology, just like August 11th. So. Oh, and do you remember where Trump was on this day? Did I write it down in this post? He was in some place That was something burn in Montana. I got to go back and look that up. Somebody look that up for me. Trump was in some town speaking called something burn, I believe in Montana. I know that the name Burn was in that town. I was like, what are the odds of that? And again, just a reminder, from his birthday to August 11th, 58 days. 2's 58, like Solomon's temple, like Herod's temple, like Third Temple, like how he's Mr. 58. And don't forget that from May 22nd, 2017, the day that he was in Jerusalem for Jerusalem Day, Jerusalem's also 58. Didn't put it there, but it is. To August 11th is 811 days later. 811 is the 141st prime, and al-Aqsa Mosque equals 141. Again, Trump was at the site where they want to get rid of this thing and build the Third Temple. And again, his head's on a shekel to raise money to build that Third Temple. April 15th, the 105th day of the year, like Bible and Zionism's 105. It's also the day leaving 260 days left in the year, like how there's 260 chapters in the New Testament. Another good 260s, Boston, Massachusetts, because who remembers what happened on April 15th in Boston, Massachusetts? Do you remember? It's one of those things that they blamed on some Muslim guys. April 15th can also be written 15/4, like 154, Temple Mounts 154. What a day for a structure, the third most important Islamic holy site to burn at Temple Mount. 15/4. Must have been an accident. And if you haven't been paying attention to what's been going on in Jerusalem, even before that, is, the Jewish authority there had fenced off that area and is only allowing certain Muslim people in at certain hours, and they're really controlling the site. Why are they doing that this year? Why are they doing that this year? Could it have something to do with the fire that was set there just so perfectly on that day? It's a world of coincidence theorists. How can two of the most recognized holy sites in the world, how can they both burn on the same day? No one blinks an eye. Again, August 11th this year is also the time of the Hajj. It goes from August 9th to August 14th. That's the Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca. So begins on 8/9, which is interesting because it also coincides with the Festival of Sacrifice and Religion and Chaos. Chaos is 19 as well. It's 2019. It's the Quran code 19. So here's Trump and the Third Temple coin. Trump and King Cyrus are on one side because they both called, Jerusalem the eternal Jewish city. King Cyrus, Tisha B'Av, Temple Mount. All got a nice alignment. And this is all synced up with Trump's visit to the Western Wall, again, where they plan to build it. So here's one side of the coin, the Temple coin. Temple coin's 158, like Freemasonry. Don't forget the Jesuits formed August 15th, 15/8. Jewish state 158. Temple coins also 112, like Donald, like Zionist, like Judaism, like how the Balfour Declaration was drafted November 2nd, 112. And this did come, this news about the Temple coin came 89 days after Trump declared Jerusalem the capital of Israel. 89 days. Again, religion 89. Chaos. So. And from the date of that news to August 11th is 75 weeks. New World Order 75. Order out of Chaos 75. Catholic Church order. So. The date of that news story announcing the Temple coin was no accident. Oh, and it was March 5th as well, just like how Dig, the show, came out on March 5th. And it can be written 5/3, again, like King Cyrus, like Tisha B'Av, like Temple Mount. So not an accident, that news story on March 5th. Of course, nothing in the news is an accident. When you know through the code, you can see through all of it. Again, what number do you dial? When you got to dig, 811. 811 digs the show about blowing up the Muslim buildings to build the third temple. Let's see. Trump's visit to the Western Wall, May 22nd. You know, don't ever forget this. Donald Trump, 2009 CERTA ad talking about being born for the job, wearing the same suit and tie as election night, talking to sheep on pillars 11 and 9, Orthodox, Star of David, Ashkenazi Jews, 119. How did I not put Donald up there? Donald's 119. Hey, have you guys ever seen the roast of Donald Trump on Comedy Central? It begins by comparing him to September 11th. That's the first joke made by Seth MacFarlane, the douchebag who supposedly survived September 11th, along with Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, because they both got off the plane, supposedly right before it took off. Could have been tragic. Could you imagine a world without Family Guy and Marky Mark doing the Boston bombing marathon remake? I mean, give me a break. Donald's 1192. His name should be up there. So is Francis. So is Underwood, the president and House of Cards. Not to be confused with the Trump card, Donald Chump. Okay. Holy Bible, remember? Donald Trump, number 45, with his guy Mike Pence. Trumpets, Revelation. So here it is from his day at the Western Wall. For Jerusalem Day to August 11th, 811 days, 811 to dig. 811 is the 141st prime. San Francisco, California is also 141. Again, that's the site of the Golden Gate Bridge. The Golden Gate's what the Jewish Messiah is supposed to arrive through at the time of the Third Temple. Talk about San Francisco in a minute. But making sure I'm not missing anything here. Oh, by the way, Jerusalem Day. He was there for Jerusalem Day, which equals 134 like Tisha B'Av. Make America Great Again equals 134. Jared Kushner's 134. Melania Trump's 134. Actually, I think just Melania alone's 134. House of Cards is 134. Again, him and Francis Underwood. Oh, I see my camera just froze. That was pretty impressive for my camera to last that long. Normally only lasts 2 minutes. Let's try again. Let's go again. I don't need to be that big. Okay. Okay, I think I hit all these points. Barron Trump had a bar mitzvah. Think about it. He's another 141. His little boy, the only one not married to a Jewish family yet. But soon enough. Don't also that same day that Trump was on the Western Wall, do you remember that was the day of the Manchester bombing? By the way, I told people to circle that date months in advance. I said that'll be the date of a false flag. You just watch. I said May 22nd or May 23rd. I gave myself 2 days there. But I can't tell you how many days I've called right over the years. I have so many damn correct predictions. It's too bad they deleted my channel 18 times. This whole truth community sucks as far as I'm concerned. You know, they don't share this work. And I'm not here for the ego, but really people should be sharing my work and all the things that I've exposed over the years. This whole truth community is a bunch of garbage, if you ask me. They haven't done jack shit. And my work hasn't been seen by enough people, you know. Called so many dates over the years, showing how the whole game is rigged. From the politics, to the false flags, to the sports games. And I've even showed how it's all connected. Undeniably. But if you forgot this story, the Manchester bombing, the video footage is out there of what was going on in that stadium. Calmly over the loudspeaker. Everybody, please walk. You are safe. There is no threat. You are not in danger. Please exit the building. Do not panic. And you just see the people are recording their phone. There's nothing even going on in that building. Nothing. But the whole world gets a story of this terrorist attack. but nothing even happened there. What was the name of the girl? The girl they put out, Gregoriana Calandre or something? The girl who died? Her name was like Gregorian Calendar. Gregorian Calendar. I remember her name summed to 142 as well. Dead on the day, leaving 140, or excuse me, on the 142nd day of the year, supposedly. That's somewhere on my blog. That's somewhere in the YouTube cemetery. Again, I've had so many channels deleted, so. Yeah, maybe I got it here. Might be in a different post. Yeah, it's a different post. But that was going on the same day Trump was at the Western Wall. Okay, now here's a good one. August 11th, 2016. Here's what's in the news. Trump, Obama is ISIS MVP. Called him a terrorist that day. Remember, it's the day leaving 142 days left in the year. And let me get this right. Is it President Obama that equals 142, or is it Barack Obama? President Obama's 142, just like terrorist. Obama, Osama. And of course, ISIS is an offshoot of al-Qaeda, and al-Qaeda was supposedly established August 11th, 1988 in history. August 11th, it's been quite the date in history, actually. And remember, Obama's going to turn 58 7 days before August 11th. They're both going to have 58 lining up. This was interesting too. July 24th, 2018. This image went viral. It got tens of millions of views. The Grim Reaper over the Golden Gate Bridge. Golden Gate, the key word. From the day it was first posted, July 24th, which is the day leaving 160 days left in the year. Grim Reaper is 160. It's also the 205th day of the year. All Seeing Eyes 205. So is Jerusalem. Jerusalem's another 205. Golden Gate, Jerusalem. Here, hold on. Uh-oh. I just heard a door close loudly. That means I'm supposed to finish. But we still got some more slides to go through here. It's in Jewish Gematria. Or no, maybe I'm mistaken. Could have sworn Jerusalem was 205. Is it Israel? Maybe it's Israel in Jewish. There it is. It's Israel. My fault. Not too far off, though. But this happened July 24th. He posted this video to Instagram July 24th. The 205th day of the year, leaving 160 remaining. Golden Gate again. Tisha B'Av, Jewish Messiah arriving through the Golden Gate, Third Temple. And what's interesting is from July 24th to August 11th was 383 days. That's the 76th prime number. San Francisco 76. And if you write out August 11th, 2019, it even equals 383. Isn't that wild? And since we covered that, notice natural disasters also 223. Since we covered this, MLB announced that on August 11th, 2019, the San Francisco Giants are going to honor the 1989 World Series earthquake team while they're playing Philadelphia. Philadelphia equals 223, biblical city from Revelation. You just got to say, what are the odds? What are the odds? San Francisco is named after Saint Francis of Assisi. His first follower was Clare of Assisi. Interestingly enough, she died in history August 11th. Saint Francis of Assisi equals 1-8. Alcatraz was opened in history on August 11th. The Golden Gate Bridge got its final permit for construction on August 11th. HARP, the military weapon that can cause earthquakes, was patented on August 11th. August 11th. It has been a date. Robin Williams, the San Francisco-based comic, supposedly committed suicide. Notice Alcatraz and Tisha B'Av. Isn't that weird? All four ciphers, the same. Opened August 11th, 1934. Stuff is just strange. And here's the HARP patent date, August 11th, 87. And what's wild about that is, again, August 11th is the 223rd day of the year. HARP can cause natural disasters that aren't really so natural. Natural disaster 223. HARP stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, which is 223. And August 11th, 87 was a date with a life lesson number 44. HARP, the acronym's 44, like military, like earthquake. Here's the August 11th, 2019 baseball game. Giants hosting the Phillies. August 11th versus Phillies. Billed as the Battle of the Bay, the 1989 World Series saw two Bay Area juggernauts fight to claim the coveted title. They're talking about the 1989 World Series. To commemorate the 30th anniversary of this series and our 1989 San Francisco Giants, we are proud to host a special night. We're going to welcome back the members of the team for that night, for that game. In the 223rd day of the year, Philadelphia 223, the Synagogue of Satan 223. If you never read Revelation, a letter is written to the Church of Philadelphia about the Jews who lie, who are not really Jews, and their name is the Synagogue of Satan. If you ever read the physical description of the Jews from the Bible, they're not anything like the people that live in Israel. Oh, no. Oh, no, they're not. By the way, the 1989 World Series earthquake was October 17th at 5:04 p.m. That's funny for all these reasons. From the last thing shown on the TV, by the way, before the earthquake happened, was Jose Canseco crossing home plate, a replay from the game prior. From his birthday, July 2nd, to the earthquake was 107 days. His full name, Jose Canseco Capas Jr., 107, like earthquake, like military. And then with regards to it striking right at 5:04 p.m. sharp during a baseball game, during a World Series between two Bay Area teams. Just think about all the coincidences here. Baseball's 54. You know, the current mayor of San Francisco, London Breed, I don't even know what to make of that. London Bridge is falling down. She's going to turn 45 years old London Breed. She's going to turn 45 on August 11th. Speaking of August 11th in San Francisco, she's going to turn 45, though, and she's the 45th mayor, only because that Asian mayor from some years back was murdered by the numbers, as I covered then. But Golden Gate, 45, 45, Holy Bible, 45, 45. If he wasn't murdered, then I don't know, I guess he faked it by the numbers. But... And by the way, Grim Reaper in Philadelphia also have this overlap. Remember, they did that symbolism with the Grim Reaper synced up with August 11th. So, just got to say, what are the odds of all these things? And I'm sure there's a whole lot of other information floating out there that I just haven't caught yet. I forgot to talk about how right after the New Zealand mosque attacks, there was an attack at a London mosque. And the attack was reported at 1:18 p.m. local. Look it up. It's all out there. I already made videos on it, so it's even on this channel somewhere. I'm sure there's a bunch of things I've covered this year that I forgot, actually. There's just been so much. With regards to San Francisco and sports, remember how last year there was a shooting on Tisha B'Av in Toronto in Greektown? Greektown equals 118. This year, game one of the NBA Finals, Toronto won with 118 points. Exactly 73 days before Tisha B'Av, which is interesting because this was the 73rd NBA season. What are the odds? There were 227 points scored in this game, by the way, 227. And the Toronto Tisha B'Av shooting last year was July 22nd, again in Greektown. Again, NBA. Perfectly scripted every game to the point. They use technology to ensure all the rigged and scripted outcomes. And one thing I was wrong about this year is in the preseason, I said the Warriors will win the championship this year. Well, they went there, but they didn't win it. So let us not forget. If you were on my Patreon, though, before Game 6, I said I think Toronto's actually going to win this series. If you bet on Golden State, hedge your bet tonight and take Toronto to close it out. So. It wasn't so bad. I saw when the riddle when it was coming through what was going on. But anyway, back to the matter at hand. The Golden Gate Bridge does get destroyed. People are trying to call in. I'll answer the phone maybe in a minute when I'm done. The Golden Gate Bridge does get destroyed in the film Pacific Rim when monsters out of the sea attack. And look at what day the Golden Gate Bridge gets destroyed in the movie. Would you believe it? August 11th? Would you believe it? Giant creature. Giant creature equals 142, like August 11th leaves 142 days left in the year. Isn't that crazy? Isn't it crazy? Again, the movies are no different than your daily news. It's all contrived by the same group of Kabbalists, the New World Order, the Cabal. Let me see. Is there anything else to say about London Breed? She's going to turn 45. She's the 45th mayor. Golden Gate's 45. Bridges 45. She replaced Edwin Ma Lee, who died by the numbers. He was a 65 when he died. London Bridge is 65. United Kingdom, Knights Templar. Getting a little bit abstract with the thoughts there. But just trying to figure out what the riddle might be with him going RIP. And again, here's Netanyahu. Netanyahu. Old Benji. His birthday is October 21st. See how from August 11th to October 21st is 71 days. Temple, Talmud, both 71. Mossad is 71. Israel turns 71 years old this year. Remember the great sports joke this year? The day Israel turned 71 years old, Zion Williamson was the lottery sweepstakes. You see what a sick joke that is? Don't forget who runs the NBA. Some hardcore Zionists. What don't they run? Zion Williamson, 74, like Jewish. Sicker than you know. His first NBA game, that summer league game, it was stopped because of the earthquake. Right after July 4th, was 74 points on the board. He was playing his teammate R.J. Barrett on the New York Knicks for another 74. They even script the summer league games. And oh, by the way, Netanyahu's 134 like Tisha B'Av, like 9th of Av. And I guess I didn't do the Hebrew version here. His name in Hebrew is 134 too. Old Benjamin Netanyahu. So he's got a nice sync with it this year. Here's the September 11th in 2001 from Tisha B'Av that year, which fell on July 29th. It was 44 days later. Get 9th of Av's 44, Israel's 44, Zion's 44. Netanyahu wasn't the leader yet. Back then it was Ehud Barak. He's the guy who went on TV and told us to declare a war on terrorism. And we said, yes, master. Getting Tisha B'Av 9/11. September 11th came 41 days before Netanyahu's birthday that year. Zionist is 41. Zionist is 77, like September 11th, like World Trade Center. Don't get me started on Flight 77. 1 month and 11 days, like September 11th, leaves 111 left in the year, like New York's 111. Here was another good one from recent. Remember this Post-it note left at the Brooklyn Museum on May 30th, 2019 was the news. A note was left that said, Hitler is coming. On the date was 74 numerology, Jewish, Masonic, occult, Gematria, English, all 74, like Brooklyn, New York, like Ashkenazi Jews. And that was 74 days before Tisha B'Av. And don't forget that earlier this year, Bruno Ganz, the actor who played Hitler, he died at 77. Theater equals 77. Actor, 77. Judaism, 77. Zionist, 77. But he died, guess how many days before the anniversary of Adolf? Guess. Did you guess 74? 74 days. And isn't that strange? Then you get another Hitler-related story not long after that. A note left at a museum 74 days before August 11th. And here's Al-Qaeda right here. A History of Terror. Al-Qaeda, 1988 to 2008. August 11th, 1988. Al-Qaeda is formed at a meeting attended by bin Laden. Do you believe it? I don't believe it. Bunch of crap. Now, this might seem stupid, but this year, WWE SummerSlam's on August 11th. That's also Hulk Hogan's birthday. And why does that matter? If you've never seen the clip before of Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan from 1989 talking about how they're going to destroy the Twin Towers and they won't rest until they come crumbling down, you better go back and watch that clip. They do this evil cackle. It couldn't be any more obvious that that was predictive programming for 9/11 from the WWF or WWE or whatever it was at the time. But that's also going to be in the Toronto building. Again, last year, Toronto had the shooting in Greetown, which equals 108 on Tisha B'Av. The July 4th earthquake to August 11th. Remember how they hyped the big one's coming, the big one's inevitable, it's close. They could give us a natural disaster on that day and blame it on Mother Nature to bring about some chaos too. I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do that day. Maybe there'll be an earthquake in Jerusalem that'll knock down Temple Mount. I don't know what they're going to do. And I don't know for sure there's going to be on August 11th. But I do know that a bunch of news stories this year have been synced up with that date already, just like I predicted they would be. But anyway, from the July 4th earthquake to August 11th is 38 days later. Earthquake does equal 163, the 38th prime. Last year, Tisha B'Av fell on the day, leaving 163 days left in the year, in July. And I noticed in recent history, just looking at this day in history from August 11th, 5 years ago, Israel approved building 1,200 more settlement homes and agreed to release 26 long-held Palestinian security prisoners. Suspected militants gunned down 47 worshipers as they recited their early morning prayers at a mosque in Nigeria. See, the PGA Championship was on that day in history, too. They moved it this year from August 11th to May. So just reading that story from 5 years ago, I was like, oh, that's kind of related. It's kind of related. It's kind of how they do things in patterns. But yeah, I'm going to skip some of those last slides at the end. I mean, you can come read this post and get the additional information. This video is long enough. I need to look what time it is. It's 11:08 p.m. Should I just wrap it up right here, or is that too perfect? I didn't mean to do that. If anybody's listening and wants to call in with an observation or a question, you're welcome to. Some of you already know the number. If you don't know the number, it is 509-731-0567. Again, 509-731-0567. If not, we can just wrap it up because maybe now's the perfect time. And the other thing I can do here is make my volume's down. I can check what's going on in the chat. Oh, good, we're still live. Very small audience. Guess it is the middle of the night. If I was out here shilling, I'd probably have 10,000 people watching. Caller.
Hey, Zach. I just squeaked in at the last minute. I've been noticing just something weird about. I live in LA, and there's billboards everywhere for Mandalay Bay hosting Psycho Las Vegas. And sorry, that's my dog. I realize it's not. It starts, I think, on the 15th. I realize that's not the 11th, but I remember. I think a few days ago you mentioned it could happen around the 11th. I just thought Mandalay Bay hosting a Psycho event was a little on the nose.
Yeah, that's interesting. Mandalay Bay Casino is 101, which isn't too far off from 11.
Yeah, it was just, and also some of the. It's interesting to see some of the bands playing. If you look up some of the names, they're all playing. Interestingly enough, it's 3 nights in a row, and they're all playing at 7 o'clock. So you get 777 there. But one of them is a wizard. I think the Wizards of Death, or it's all about death and Jesus dying and all kinds of interesting stuff.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. Good heads up.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, appreciate it.
See ya.
Somebody asked in the chat, Zenith did, if I saw that Tulsi Gabbard is suing Google for $50 million. I guarantee that's all propaganda. She's a Manchurian candidate. What did she say about 9/11? She just got up there and repeated the lie about Al-Qaeda. So, you know, that's just all the show. Gate of Mercy. That's what it, yeah, the golden, that was the 118 I meant to cover early. Thanks for that. The Gate of Mercy, what they call the Golden Gate 118. Here, we can put it up on the screen. Gate of Mercy. 118. It's also 53 like Tisha B'Av. And again, it's associated with Tisha B'Av, so doesn't that make too much sense? Check out the movie Final Destination 5, released on August 10th, 2011, about the Golden Gate Bridge being destroyed. That's interesting. Okay. Somebody said they just watched a ceremony where the Pope closed the gates of mercy. Well, almost everything's a show. This isn't a show. The Bitcoin effect? I don't know. I think cryptocurrency is run by all the same people, honestly. They're trying to get people on electronic currency, so I just see that as just part of the direction of things. Just like how, you know, banks reward you if you do direct deposit. Why is your bank rewarding you for direct deposit? Why should that even matter? It's because they don't want you to have actual paper in your hand. They want you to just have electronic credits on a computer screen. Somebody wants to FaceTime. Let's try it out. Maybe that's how you avoid the long distance. How's it going?
Hey Zach, can you hear me?
I hear you just fine.
Hey, this is Flauri from Costa Rica.
Yeah, you've been doing great work on August 11th. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Likewise. Yeah, so much stuff, man. Just to keep it short, I was just looking at the eclipse sacrifice for August 11, where you look backwards and forwards to the next total eclipse. And we have for that 654 days from August 11 to the next total lunar eclipse, which is Los Angeles, child sacrifice, San Francis, satanic ritual, and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy. It's also the numerical value of Revelation 8:10 for August 10. It's pretty crazy stuff. I was looking at the Diablo Canyon power plant. You saw that video of mine? That was pretty crazy because I found stuff like it's 10,001 kilometers of Chernobyl, super coded two Chernobyls right at the coast of California in between Los Angeles and San Francisco. Also, another thing I want to mention is there was all this coding with Trump and Kim Jong-un, right, when he was meeting Kim Jong-un last year for the first time, 424 days before August 11. 424 is North Korea. And then he was meeting Kim Jong-un just a few weeks again, crossing over the border at 3:46. Coding Golden Gate Bridge in Jewish Gematria and stuff like that. So I wonder how does the North Korea stuff fits into this riddle. And then there was Iran coded in the Virginia Beach shooting. What was the number there? I think Virginia Beach shooting was 215. Like from 9/11 to August 11 is 215 months straight. And there were two other Iran numbers in the Virginia Beach shooting there as well. I made an infographic about that. So we have North Korea and Iran really connected to all of that, and then the Virginia Beach shooting was connecting to Bridge. I think it was 107 days before August 11, like Bridge. So yeah, crazy stuff. I think since we're coming closer to it, my personal feeling is that they have been coding earthquake all over the place. And you're always mentioning Jerusalem and the Temple Mount. And I think that's pretty interesting because it's not that obvious, but it seems to be the underlying symbolism of it all. But yeah, earthquake seems to me something that that has, from all the hints that I gathered together, the highest profoundness and all these connections with the Loma Prieta earthquake and all frequencies spiking before the earthquake. You know what I mean? These 2.5 hertz spikes. You can read that on Wikipedia. So tons of stuff that really makes sense, that they seem to be in control of Earth manipulation technology. And then we had the Ridgecrest earthquakes just recently, all super coded as well. What do you think about that? What is your opinion? What do you think is the underlying coding of 8/11?
Well, again, with regards to the 2 mosque shootings being synced up with that date and the 2 religious sites burning, one of them being in Jerusalem, I'm still thinking that the likely location, if an event is to occur, is Jerusalem, but it could be other places too, such as California, like we've been talking about. And there could be 2 major events that day too, because Tisha B'Av has a lot to do with 2. So.
Right. By the way, 424, the number that I was mentioning with North Korea, there's also an area code in Los Angeles, just like 310, which was heavily coded with the lion symbolism, Emperor, Selassie. I think, who was it? Dan Behrendt was talking about the 310 riddles and so on. Anyhow, crazy stuff. Really crazy riddles, all connecting to Revelation and stuff like that. I don't know what to think about it, but it was a crazy ride up until now, and I really appreciate that you opened me up to to this crazy ride. So thanks for that.
You're very welcome. Hey, you're gonna be at Anarchadelphia, aren't you?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
Probably not. Maybe the 88,888th day of the Illuminati, Friday the 13th. Crazy day. Yeah.
You're the reason I'm gonna be there, right? You're the guy who got me connected.
I know. These are my friends who are organizing this, so that will be pretty cool, I hope. But I don't know if I can be there because I live in Costa Rica and I'm grinding hard to just make a living. So we'll see. If the United States is still standing after August 11, I might consider it.
It likely will be. That's the point I want people to take away too.
Yes, I'm not trying to make fear porn here. Just joking.
Sure. And that's the main thing I want people to understand. If August 11th comes and it goes and we don't see the event we're expecting, that doesn't mean this is off. Again, this date is an anchor date for this year. The year still has plenty of time left. There will be more events before the end of the year if August 11th goes by. You know, this agenda is definitely in motion. They are going to build that 3rd temple one day or another, and they're put in front of our face. So that's the whole point, is to get people to wake up to what's taking place right now, right before our eyes.
Absolutely. One more thing I wanted to add, one crazy riddle, and that is Israel's 74th anniversary in 2022, May 14th. That will be 888 months for Israel, and Trump will be exactly 911 months on that day.
Oh, wow.
Obama will be exactly 60 years, 9 months, and 11 days.
Huh.
And Boris Johnson will be exactly... No, he will not be exact. He will be in his 3,022nd week for 322 Skull and Bones coding. It's a crazy day. And 1 year later, on the 75th anniversary, Putin will be 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days old, just like Trump was on Inauguration Day.
Huh, that's very interesting. Yeah, you're doing a great job with the measurements.
Yeah, with that, I leave you for now.
All right, appreciate it, man. You have a good night.
All right, you too. Take care.
All right, take care. All right. I think that's a good ending place. This video's long enough, and I did hear the door slam like 20 minutes ago, or maybe it was 30 minutes ago, so. And for all of you guys who keep saying, why do you wear those dumb orange glasses? They're not for reading, but they're for blocking out the computer screen. So some months ago, my eyes just started to get sore looking at this computer screen, but it's so much better with these on. So anyway, we'll leave it there. Until next time, Truth Seeker.